Yanni and I made the big decision to actually hire folks to come and help us prepare the exterior of the boat for painting. They're going to be coming around mid-September, so we have about a month until they're arriving. I have to get everything done on the exterior of the boat that needs to be done before they get here and start sanding. And so I have my list of everything that needs to get done. It's a long list. This week we are going to build tow rails, and another time-sensitive project came up that my mom and I need to tackle. My name is Matt. Follow along as I turn Duracell, the legendary ocean racing sailboat, into a comfortable cruising home. It's been 6 months already since we primed the interior of the doghouse. It's where we put the Hull Guard Extra from All Grip on the inside of the doghouse, in the bench area, in the quarter berths. Hull Guard Extra is an epoxy primer that it's a tie coat is what they call it. So it makes sure that the fairing, which is going to go on next, adheres really well to the substrate, which is the fiberglass. It's an epoxy and it has a 6-month open time. So that means any time in the 6 months after I apply it, I can put the next coat of either Hull Guard Extra, more Hull Guard Extra, or the fairing. The fairing is All Fair from All Grip, and it is a 1-to-1 epoxy. It is really, really nice stuff because it goes on so smoothly. It's just like putting whipped cream all over the interior of the boat. Yeah. It fills, yeah, exactly. Purple whipped cream. It fills all of the pinholes, and then it's really nice to sand off. It actually makes sanding really pleasurable. Since it's been 6 months, that's the extent of the open time of the Hull Guard Extra. So my mom and I are going to slam out getting the entire interior of the doghouse swept with the All Fair. And I think the plan is to have my mom mixing All Fair while I am sweeping it in the boat. So this went really well. Everything is swept inside here. It looks a lot different now that it's all purple, but the next step obviously is to sand. And we don't need to do that anytime soon. One thing I wanted to point out is I made the executive decision while I was doing this that I didn't want to sand overhead. I've got primer overhead already. I'm going to install liners in the overhead. The overhead is the ceiling in a boat. Instead of fairing the overhead, applying fairing, sanding, I'm going to build these panels that just cover the overhead. And I've been thinking about this for a while. In another house that we worked on, I used these tongue and groove or beadboard panels that were from Home Depot. They're made of MDF. And it looks really nice. It kind of gives the interior kind of a farmhouse kind of look. And I think that would be really cool on the interior of our boat. MDF is a pressed fiber board that does not do well in a marine environment. So I'm wondering if anybody out there has ever applied like penetrating epoxy or a sealer to an MDF kind of board and used it in their boat. And because that's my plan, is to buy these panels from Home Depot, they're MDF, and then basically soak them in penetrating epoxy so that they don't swell and fall apart in the marine environment. I think it'll look really cool. It'll be a great way to hide wiring, install lights, and just give it an extra cozy feel inside the boat. Let me know in the comments what you think. A couple weeks ago, I built this gutter system underneath the hatch and this ladder that comes down, and on either side of the ladder are these drains that drain the gutter, and they're just 2 carbon tubes and they just drain water straight out the bottom of the boat. I think people were concerned for a few different reasons that this ladder would break, that water would come up through the tubes when the boat's healing. I will say that this is a very common design. I've been on quite a few boats that have this, especially in an enclosed cockpit. If the boat gets pooped, you want that water to drain out really quickly, and this is a common way for that to happen. You just have drains go straight out the bottom of the boat. When the boat heals, the top of the tubes will always be above the water line. If they weren't, then water would be flooding the cockpit all the time, and it's not. The water line is somewhere up in this area. Like I said, they're carbon tubes. The ladder rungs reinforce the whole ladder a whole bunch, as well as the extra carbon that I've put around the outside. They're glassed into the hole. So I'm very, very confident that this thing, it would take a lot to break this. And if we did, we could plug it with a bung really quickly. This space is also a watertight compartment. This bulkhead is watertight. There's many fail-safes in this system. Like I said, it's super strong. I'm really not concerned that it's gonna break. And water will never be up above the top of the gutter. And I hope that eases your concerns. One of the next fun deck projects are building tow rails, and I'm actually extending the old tow rail. Tow rails are these, on this boat, they're just these rails that go along the outside of the boat so that when you're walking down the side of the boat, especially when the boat's healing, you can put your foot or your toe up against the rail so you don't slip out and fall into the water. There are already tow rails that go from here all the way forward to the bow. The reason that they only came back this far was because in the layout of the boat previously, when it was being raced, the cockpit was actually forward of the main bulkhead. And so nobody was ever stepping out of the boat onto the side deck any further aft than this. We have moved the cockpit further aft in the boat, and so I'm going to extend the tow rail all the way back to aft of where the helm will be. So that means anybody that is jumping out of the cockpit, whether you're forward or aft of the helm, and running forward can put their foot up against these tow rails and safely walk forward along the boat, along the side decks. So what I'm going to do is glue down foam cores of these tow rails. I'm going to shape the foam to be the shape of the old tow rail and just extend it all the way back. I'm going to make gaps where there are stanchions and chain plates and stuff. And then I'm just going to vacuum bag over them. So they'll be very, very sturdy. You can put lots of weight on there, very impact resistant, because they will definitely take a beating. This is an important safety feature that we're going to include on the boat. You got to pretend like the boat's healing.
Oh, right. Here we go.
Other way.
Oh. Nice new Crocs, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm making these tow rails out of foam and fiberglass. I didn't have thick enough foam to make the rails, so I decided to glue some 1/4-inch foam to some 3/4-inch foam to make them 1 inch wide overall. I started by ripping down strips of each that will make up the rails. Then I superglued the foam pieces together to make them wide enough. The green and white foam are both recycled PET H80 foams, and they're just different brands. My bevel gauge is great for finding these angles, and I can translate that angle straight to the table saw. The section shape of the tow rail is kind of a right triangle with the top cut off, so I just ripped the shape on the table saw and then rounded over the top on the router table. It's late, but we're gonna start gluing tow rails down. My old friend Scott was in town, so of course I had to put him to work. And so then just kind of start there, and so get the deck down, and then really press on this face, get that corner in down really good. Take your roller and roll this face. Okay, so once you get that done, then you can go ahead and start rolling on the top. And what I do is kind of roll like diagonally. The inspector is so annoying.
She really is.
Demanding inspections all the time. Just use your fingers and just like jam it down there. There's a magnet right there.
Oh,
Yeah. Lay it up like maybe half an inch. You know, you can go like up to the green tape.
Old buddies back to working on carousel.
That's
together.
right. Scott's here one day. I'm gonna put him to work.
a long time.
For our newer viewers, Scott helped Matt out a lot of evenings after work in the very first year of the project.
Yeah, Scott was there when we cut the old doghouse off. Went to California with us to pick out a mast,
It's true.
among many other things.
Then he went.
Many cold nights in the garage.
Yeah.
A lot of fun with the Sawzall.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Less than the.
Yeah, it should just barely, like, you know, quarter inch under.
Adding these tow rails is definitely adding a lot of safety to our future cruising home. You talk a lot about safety to me when you're, thinking through a lot of your design decisions. Would you say that safety is like one of your design criteria for refitting Duracell?
It is the top priority, for sure.
So, kind of just like in a general way, what is a safe boat in your mind?
Well, first, it's a boat that's not going to fall apart as we're sailing it. Be really well constructed. It's a boat that is very stable. It's a boat that's easy to maneuver around, easy to walk around. There's lots of handholds, lots of tow rails, lots of places to grab onto or fall into that are robust and hold people into the boat easily, both inside and out. I think it's a boat that's also very simple, as simple as possible, where, the rigging is not overcomplicated with a million billion lines all over. And the mechanics are easy enough for most people to step on board and understand. I don't want to, if in some case I become super injured and I have to explain to somebody how to do something, I don't want that to be really difficult. So, yeah, simplicity and stability, well constructed, all these things.
Would you say you're a conservative sailor?
For sure.
Just when your family's aboard or all the time?
When it's my own boat, I'm very conservative.
Oh, so it's more for concern of the safety of your boat than your family? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if the boat's going down, the whole family's going down.
It's true. Our fates are now intertwined with that of Duracell
Yep.
in many ways. The inspector did pass the tow rails, but as you may have guessed, she did have one request, that we call them paw rails, of course.